my name is Chandra and we are making some dinners. This is 4 dinners we had in 1 week. This was a poultry week for us. I'm starting with roasting a whole chicken and moving on. I'm going to make 3 different dinners with this one chicken, and then I'm going to braise some turkey legs. So first I need to get this chicken spatchcocked, which means I'm going to cut the backbone out because I don't have a lot of time to cook it this night, and you'll see I even ran out of time. We took the parts off that were done and ate them and cooked the rest while we were eating. But by taking the backbone out, I can flatten the chicken out and it does cook quite a bit faster. So I like to use my kitchen shears for this, and I just turn it over and cut right down along each side of the backbone. I wanted to season this chicken with lemon and oregano, which is something I commonly do when I do a spatchcocked chicken. I didn't have any lemons though, but I do have this lemon-infused salt. So I'm going to use this for every bit of our dinner tonight, and then I'll use the oregano. So I'm getting the underside of the chicken seasoned, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. I'll also get olive oil on to help with crisping up the skin. When I do this, I usually try to keep one hand clean and use one hand to deal with moving the chicken around, and that way I don't have to continually wash my hands. I don't like to touch the chicken and then touch stuff that I'm not going to wash. So there are times when I have to go and wash my hands, but mostly I can do it all without washing my hands. I'm going to roast this chicken at 425 until it's done. And here I have a veggie scraps bag, and I knew I was going to be making stock soon, so I'm just adding the backbone right into those veggie scraps, and that'll be ready for me to cook with. I'm going to have sweet potato with this, and this is a way I often cook sweet potato. It's quick and easy. Instead of leaving it whole to roast it, I'm going to cut it in half just to shorten the time it takes. And then I can coat the whole thing with olive oil and more of the lemon salt. Whichever side is down on the sheet pan is going to get nice and browned and kind of like roasty. So I usually like to cook it with that side down. If you don't like that kind of crisp outside, you could cook it right side up, and then the skin would be all that gets crispy, and you can always remove that. Since I already have my oven going and I'm already getting pans dirty, I'm just going to add my broccoli right onto this pan with the chicken, and that will get a lot of great flavor from the chicken. I thought it was really good. There was all the chicken fat and seasonings from the chicken that went right into the broccoli, and it was quite tasty. Here you can see that the chicken has been taken apart. That's just the breast left on the pan. I'm getting the broccoli off so we can eat that with our dinner, and that is done as well. The sweet potatoes are done. So we'll have thighs with this dinner, and we'll use the chicken breast for our next meal. With our leftover chicken, we're going to have chicken Caesar salad, which is a crowd pleaser at our house. And it's a little bit customizable, so we have all the things available, and then you can build your salad however you want. So I'm starting by making the salad dressing, and I have some anchovy fillets and garlic with a big pinch of kosher salt. And I'm just getting that chopped up and mashed as much as I can before I add it to my bowl with some lemon juice, some mustard, and of course, egg yolks. I always save the whites when I have to separate an egg, and the recipe doesn't call for the whites, and I'll use those to brush on breads before baking them, or to add to eggs. That's extra protein. Or if they are just ready to not be in the refrigerator sitting any longer, I'll put them in the freezer and they thaw beautifully for later use. This recipe calls for a little bit of olive oil for that flavor, but then mostly a neutral oil, and I use avocado oil. You could use all olive oil, it would just be a stronger tasting dressing. Making Caesar dressing is almost like making mayonnaise, where you have your emulsifying agents, which would be the egg yolk and the mustard. And I'm just going to very slowly stream in this oil, whisking constantly, and it makes this beautiful emulsion, a thick, creamy dressing. These anchovies are packed in oil, so they'll last a long time in the refrigerator. Sometimes they come in a jar, and that's really handy because you can keep them right in their container. These are in this little tin, so I'm moving them into a container, and I'll save them for the next time. Croutons are so quick and easy. Tonight we're all having gluten-free croutons. I was out of our regular sourdough bread. So I'm cubing this up, and it will go on the tray with olive oil and salt. Then I put it in the oven at 375 degrees. I usually set a timer for about 7 minutes. I toss them around at that point, kind of see how they're doing. You want them to be nice and lightly browned. And it usually takes 12 to 15 minutes for these to be done, depending on how dry your bread is to begin with. So quick and easy, so delicious. Really makes the Caesar salad special. Here is our chicken breast that we finished cooking while we ate the thighs from the previous night's dinner. And we'll use this for the Caesar salads tonight, and whatever is left over we'll use in the next night's dinner, along with whatever was left over from the thighs. There's probably a little bit left over from that as well that I can add in. and we'll keep going with this chicken theme. We like to use a vegetable peeler for the Parmesan cheese. It makes it into nice shavings that are a little bit nicer to bite into in a Caesar salad rather than just being little shreds all throughout. So I'm peeling that up, and then we can get to the lettuce and building salads. We like to build our salads on the plate so that we know how much we want, and then we dress it and dump it into a bowl to really toss it around and then back onto the plate. So everything is really nicely coated in dressing before we get to the table. Now for our third dinner with that roast chicken that we had the first night. This is chicken soup, which I make all the time, and I've made it in maybe most of my dinner videos have some form of a chicken soup in them. So I've got onions and celery and carrots in my pot, sauteing in some bacon fat, adding a bay leaf and some thyme, a little garlic scape puck that I froze from last year's garden, and I'll let this all kind of saute. I have just a little bit of chicken left. We had a lot of that chicken breast already that I'll add to this later. And I also, with that last chicken, I had a lot of chickens in my freezer, and I can link my chicken stock video down below. You can see I've got the stock on the stove right here, and I'm straining some right into my soup. So this was perfect. I had everything I needed. I didn't have to open a can of chicken stock from my basement. I can just use this fresh stock, and we'll have a lovely dinner. I had this grain-free flatbread mix in my freezer. I've had it for a long time, so I thought I would make this to go with that chicken stock, and I'm making it into kind of like a focaccia style. So I'll dimple the top and coat it with some more olive oil, and I had some rosemary, fresh rosemary frozen in my freezer, and I'll put that on top. It was fine for this night. It was not very good leftover. I probably wouldn't buy it again, but it was at like my discount store, so I thought I'd try it. It was a quick and easy side dish for me for this dinner. as I said in the beginning, this was a poultry week. So we had our 3 chicken dinners, and now I have some turkey drumsticks that were left over from our Thanksgiving turkey. We always break our turkey down. We actually bought 2. I break them down and cook the thighs and the legs the day or 2 before Thanksgiving. This is just how I do it. I saute really the same vegetables I would use for a chicken soup, plus a bunch of garlic, bay leaf, thyme. So really very similar. I saute all that, then add stock, bring it to a boil, and I have my drumsticks here, that's a tough cut of meat. And you know, they have a lot of those little thin bones in them. So it's really helpful if this meat can fall off the bone, you can easily get those things out. And it's really quite delicious, but it has to cook low and slow, which is why we break our turkey down. So we roast the breast just like you would roast a whole turkey, but we cook these, at Thanksgiving, thighs and legs, drumsticks. Right now I just have drumsticks because we do more thighs than drumsticks at Thanksgiving. But these are great for another dinner throughout the year. So I have salted these and I'm gonna let them sit until I can come back later. I had somewhere to go today, so I got this all ready, and then I will bring this stock mixture back to a boil and get it all into my 9x11 pan here, where I can then slow cook it in my oven. I'm going to cover this with a piece of parchment paper and then cover it tightly with foil. Okay, this is hot, and I think those drumsticks are now thawed. If it takes a little longer, that's fine. I need to get them to 170 degrees, and I'm at 325 degrees on my oven temperature. And I'll put these in, it'll probably take 2.5 to 3 hours. Maybe on the longer side if they're still a little frozen inside. Easy, delicious dinner. I'll check them in 2.5 hours. I usually end up way over the 170 degree mark, and when you're braising, that is totally fine because everything is in that steamy, wet environment, nothing's drying out, and going over in temperature is not a big deal. So now I'm going to take these out and get them into a separate container, and this can go in the refrigerator until it's closer to dinner time. The stock mixture I'm going to strain, and what is left in there is so flavorful, and that I will use to make gravy. Here's what we're having with the turkey, some asparagus, so you can see this is a spring dinner, definitely not Thanksgiving, and some watermelon radishes. So I'm just putting some oil and salt on these. I'm kind of keeping them separate in case one of these things is done earlier than the other. I can always take what's done out of the oven. So these drumsticks are now cooled down. So I did do this quite a bit earlier in the day, and in order to get a nice crispy skin, I'm going to put a little olive oil. You could also use butter. We just can't all have butter in this house, so I'm using olive oil. Actually, I'm using avocado oil. Any kind of oil or fat or butter will work just fine. I'm going to put them in a high oven, 500 degrees, just to bring them back to temperature and crisp up the skin. Now I'm going to make the gravy, and I used to be so intimidated by gravy, but it's very easy. So I separated the fat off of the top of that stock, and I wanted to get a 1/4 cup. So if I didn't get quite a 1/4 cup, I would have added some fat to it, either butter or bacon fat or any kind of oil. So I put that in, and you just need equal parts of the fat and flour. I used cassava flour, but you can use any kind of flour or starch that you want. I cooked that into a nice roux on the stove just to cook the flour a little bit so it's not raw. And I will start slowly adding my stock. My stock was not hot anymore, so I'm going slow to keep it from clumping. And you see it thickens up right away very quickly as it gets on the heat, and once I get it all in, it'll be a little thinner, and I'll just let that simmer until it is at the thickness that I like. We had roasted Japanese sweet potatoes with this, and it was a delicious dinner.